Yeah. So most of us were in Indianapolis last weekend, and there's
Great trip. That was a great trip to Indy.
Did you have a good trip?
I had a good trip.
I enjoyed myself as well. You took down your draft.
I did take down my draft by drafting the most
No,
janky.
you were way over complaining about this deck.
It was
This deck
janky
had
as
like
hell.
7 removal spells in it.
Yeah, I mean, Rule was sick, but I was trying to beat down with like black automatons.
Yeah.
I mean, it got there, so
yeah,
whatever.
I mean, it's the kind of draft format where you have to play some bad ones so that your mediocre ones become good ones. Like seriously, like you were playing black automatons or automatons, automatons,
Yes,
automations.
automatons.
So that like you could inspire into your like bigger threats.
Right.
Um,
The dark intimations that you balked at was the whole reason I won that third match where I was completely outclassed deck-wise.
yeah, that guy's deck was a heater.
Yeah, he had like 2 Dawn Feather Eagles and 2 Dice Bays.
Yeah, he was real big. All right, so here we go.
Turn 2 Aether Geode Miner every game. What
So,
a jerk.
so this in this match, I think Bernie can get out ahead of this control deck because they have less. They have less straight up. I guess he's Esper. I was thinking blue white. With Esper, I suppose he is.
This Gurmag Angler could go the distance here.
Yeah, that card's well positioned right now.
Very well positioned.
Um,
So the hand
only
is...
Path to Exile can handle it. Fatal Push that I'm 100% sure
It can target it.
can target it.
Murder's Cut and Dismember sometimes you play as a one of.
Sure. You think the Spell Snare here?
Remand.
Takes the Remand, okay.
That's fair.
I would take the Spell Snare so as to create, it turns on all my 2-mana counter spells. Like, I'm sure Andrew has Mana Leaks and or Remands of his own.
Right.
And I just want all my 2-mana counter spells to be
Oh
alive.
man, Thoughtseize to hit this Angler.
Yeah, Thoughtseize going to clean up the Angler here.
So we'll see an turn Thought Scour here from Bernie.
Alright, 2 lands down.
And Serum Visions is the draw.
I don't think that's what Wen wanted to see there. He definitely wanted to draw one of those lands.
Yeah, he also drew another Spell Snare. So I think you want to fire off this Serum Visions. We want to try and set up a blue source for next turn.
Sure.
None there. What was the draw? Looks like a Fatal Push.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
That's
think this is
pretty
just
much
going to be a bottom.
It's pretty much a blank card versus Esper control deck.
Well, it blows the heck out of this Creeping Tar Pit.
Yeah, but that's not until like turn 12.
Right. I mean, right now it's not good. I'll give you that.
Alright. Andrew finds a Lingering Souls on top of his deck.
I believe there's a Path to Exile, actually.
Oh, was that Lingering Souls just in hand before?
Potentially. I'm pretty sure the draw was Path. I didn't see a Lingering Souls in hand, but I wasn't really looking beyond what he drew.
Alright.
Serum Visions of his own. Draws a land, and let's see how this scry goes. Sorin and Geist.
Man, that's an interesting pairing.
Sure. I'd imagine these are bottom. You might want the Geist on top. Oh, top.
It's like a
Holy
little bit of a
smokes.
non-bow because so if you plus Sorin, the Geist itself gets the bonus,
Right.
but the Angel token does not.
Correct. Yeah, they don't interact well with each other. Bernie's past 2 draws have been Colgan's Command and Young Pyromancer. Target you, man. What a sicko.
Oh, he left the cards on top, so he targeted.
And then Bernie draws the red land off of the top.
This is great. It's gonna come in untapped too. No damage taken.
So we get untapped, no damage taken, and we get to play out our Peasy, which is probably...
Wow, Young Pyromancer could be a big deal here.
He needs to be able to untap with it. This is usually not the point in which you want to play Pyromancer, but okay. Yeah, we're going to protect it first. So, push, path, land.
Okay.
Bernie doesn't like seeing any of these.
You take the push because
The
path
can
is
accelerate you.
Right. It's the removal spell with the least downside. They're both. You don't want either of them to be cast against you, but you're never mad about having.
So he has a Colgan's Command. He could get back Peasy off of.
Oh,
push.
that's the move he's made. He's left push in hand.
Draws another Path to Exile.
So that's really good for Andrew.
So this is I don't want to say a skill necessarily, but I picked this up from the last standard season.
Yeah.
So he paid 2 mana to get this Tasigur activation live.
Uh-huh.
So if you ever wanted to jam a spell to try and like dodge a counter spell, this is the turn. Alternatively, you can just force stuff that you know he has to deal with, like you know he has removal in his hand.
Right.
So you can run out like a Peasy, because then if he does that, then he won't be able to
The modes here
activate his Tasker.
Andrew's discarding, and Bernie's getting back Gurmag Angler. Alright, so Bernie's gonna then cast the Gurmag Angler here. He's gonna figure out what he wants to leave behind.
I think he gets 2. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mind those 2. I might put the Spell Snare in there.
I think he has another Spell Snare in hand.
Sure. Alright.
Little does he know that Andrew has another path in hand.
Is that a third one that he drew?
No, I think he drew an Elspeth. Night Serent, which is a bit strange, but... Alright, Bernie's got some lands. That's actually a Sun's Champion.
Okay.
So, Andrew's left with Sun's Champion, Fatal Push. Bernie's got a hand, and he's got some cards now with the lands to cast him right where he wants to be.
Yeah, this could be great. So if he runs out Young Pyromancer, and just passes, and Andrew responds with a push at end of turn, he can make all kinds of tokens.
Well, I don't know that he can, because the cards in hand are Fatal Push and Spell Snare. He doesn't have targets for either.
Interesting.
Yeah, he desperately needs to draw into something.
Snapcaster Mage would just be the bee's knees.
I agree.
Huh.
Is that a Tasker that they drew?
That's a good one.
Tasker is a very good one if that is indeed the draw.
So he doesn't have a really full graveyard yet.
Does look like it is a Tasker.
Alright, so here's 3 cards. We could pay 3 for this Tasker, leaving him
3 mana, which is not ideal.
No, it's not really where you want to be.
So 2 mana is the same as 3 mana in this case, if that is the plan.
Sure. Alright, Tasker all my things away.
Alright, so Bernie's going to need to lean heavily on this Tasker.
Concur. And I think Andrew's going to get a Tasker activation of his own at the end of turn here. Which is just going to get him back a Serum Visions. Not 0, but it's not like the biggest deal in the world. Bernie just said, I know what's in there.
Offers the graveyard. I know what's in there. Giving him back the Snapcaster Mage.
Oh, because he has the Spell Snare.
That's smart. Oh no, is that a Gideon? That's a Gideon ally of Zendikar.
Oh god. This could get gross.
I mean,
these big spells. So, I mean, it used to be in Modern, like a 4-mana spell should end the game, and like these big spells are just like so
big.
Well, they're big and they're hard for the everything in this Delver deck. That everything in Birdie's hand is sized.
Right.
The Spell Snare is tied to 2-mana spells. The Fatal Push is tied to 4-mana creatures.
Man, and Bernie's forced to chump.
Yeah, so Gideon made the emblem, giving all his creatures +1/+1. Bernie has to chump it up.
He needs a great draw here. That land is not a great draw here.
No, I think you have to play out Young Pyromancer at this point.
I mean, you're just dead if you do. Because he still has the mana open to Fatal Push it. I guess you can Fatal Push your own Pyromancer or the Tasker in response. I guess it doesn't matter.
Well, no, the Tasker costs 6.
Yeah,
so
you can still
push...
target it.
Oh, you can?
Yeah.
Okay.
Won't do anything.
Concur.
Ever. Unless there's a Hirobi's Death Whisper in play.
Oh?
Then it would kill that Tasker.
Is that a card that people play?
No, nobody plays that card.
Okay. I don't even know what the... I know that... Alright. So Brady does push his own creature. I can't... You're not getting the satisfaction of pushing my guy.
Alright, so this is interesting. Andrew may try to just fire off this Snapcaster push. In which case, Bernie's going to get to use the Spell Snare.
Yeah, he's not.
Has the Collective Brutality anyway.
I'm surprised you just didn't Spell Snare that.
Well, he still had mana open for the Spell Snare with Fatal Push. Or the Snapcaster with Fatal Push.
Oh, sure. Yeah, see, that was just such a weird one where Andrew's spells were just... The fact that they were so big, they weren't like game-ending on their own.
Right.
But the preponderance of them, 2 Tassigers, a Gideon, you know, that I mean, Bernie got lucky that Soren and
Geist
went to the bin.
Sure. So it's a bit of an interesting situation where Bernie's playing some very strong answers that are very efficiently costed, but they don't match up well against Andrew's threats.
Yeah, so speaking of big 4-mana things, you showed me during the break a heater coming in this Modern Masters 17.
Oh yes, Modern Masters 2017 featuring
Linvala,
Linvala.
the 4-mana one, not the
Yeah.
6-mana one.
The
Keeper
the
of Silence?
Keeper.
Yeah, this card, it's got the original art,
A little bit darker in the Japanese version.
apparently.
No, I don't
I thought the original art was amazing.
Yeah, solid. It's a super expensive card. Very happy.
What's a Linvala cost before we knew it got reprinted? Over 50?
Close to it.
I know that there's no official line on this, but I wonder what Wizards considers to be a expensive card. Yeah, I got 40 over here.
You got 40?
40 by my research.
Yeah, I've got 40 as well.
Um,
Foils are 150.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, the multiplier on that one's insane.
Is that the standard Rise of the Eldrazi multiplier?
I don't think so.
Um,
What's a foil Kazandu Tuskmaster worth? Or Tuskcaller?
that's a great question.
It's not a great question. It's actually a terrible question. The answer to which is nobody cares.
Foil multiplier on that is 4.
It's still incredibly high.
Yeah, it was a 4 multiplier on Linvala. It's 3 or 4.
40 to 150? Yeah, it's about a little bit less than 3. A little less than 4, sorry.
Yeah, so things to TIL. Foil multiplier on Rise of the Eldrazi is 4. That set was awesome.
Okay.
This Modern Master set is awesome.
Yeah. What else is awesome?
Our friendship.
Friendship? Awesome. Heard it here first.
Sideboarding's awesome. Being the year of the sideboard, I have no idea what's possible coming out of Bernie Wen's sideboard or Andrew's sideboard.
So,
I
in both
assume-
cases, it's more of what they can bring out.
Yes, I assume Fatal Push comes out for Bernie,
Likely.
as Snapcaster Mage is the only target.
Manlands are also a target, and that's a very real thing, but not ideal.
I think he doesn't have to get to the point where he removes all the threats. I think Bernie wants to play the aggressor,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
and therefore reactive. Well, apparently Fatal Pushes are in.
I didn't see a Fatal Push.
You didn't?
Oh, man. Turn 1, suspend Ancestral Visions on the play.
Yeah, this is
That's a start and a half.
the Dark Slick Shores. I think this is a card we can expect to be reprinted in Modern Masters 2019.
Dark Slick Shores?
Yeah, I think they'll do that cycle.
What about 2018? I think they're doing them every year after this.
What?
Yeah. Inquisition feels so much less bad.
Okay, we're gonna find out what's up. Tasker Young Peasy, Snapcaster Bolt, and the Lonely Island. Bernie is waiting patiently to roll this die down.
Maybe not so patiently. I don't know what's going on here,
Bernie
but
is taking down a name. Listen, He came here to win at Modern and take names.
The Bolt, I don't think he has Tasigur.
Yeah, I think he's fine to... I think this Ancestral Visions is big enough that he's fine to sit back and, like, hang out, wait
Sure,
on it.
but you also want to sculpt a hand where you can try to make sure that this Ancestral Visions resolves.
I think it doesn't matter, because if Andrew's worried about countering the Ancestral Visions, then I think Bernie will have have opportunities at cards that are in his hand.
Serum Visions, the draw is a land, and then we're going to scry.
Concur. Andrew, devoid of white mana here, not for long. Alright. He rolls the Ancestral Visions down, and it's looming next turn.
Adds another land to hand.
He's being very patient with these fetch lands. There's another... Okay, so he's going to turn his access to red mana on here, I think. So how do you feel about the line of, like, running out the Young Pyromancer here?
Well, Young Pyromancer got taken. He's got Snapcaster.
Or
A
Tasigur? To try and bait a counterspell out of Andrew's hand, maybe thinking he only has one. He has to make a decision between Tasigur and Ancestral Visions. Or
Yeah,
do
I
you just
think...
let the Ancestral Visions resolve regardless?
Yeah, he knows Tasigur's in hand. So I think getting both of those on the same turn is how you want to run that out if you want to force one to resolve.
Sure.
Andrew content to just land go, although he has done a little bit of hand sculpting by way of Serum Visions.
Okay, so he played this land tap. This tells me that he does not have a ton of action here.
Right, or he's very confident in the little action that he has.
Alright.
Bernie contemplating the end of turn bolt you.
Or the meaning of life.
You know, Bernie can be contemplating any number of things.
Alright, so we make sure all the cards in his deck are there.
So we're getting Steam Vents. I can't imagine this coming into play.
Untapped.
Unless he wants to Bolt Snap Bolt at the end of turn. Which looks like it's the case.
Okay, yeah, so this is worth 6 damage. And the creature on the board.
Alright, the old Bolt Snap Bolt.
Alright, here's the counter squall. Alright. Here's a Young Pyromancer.
Well, I gotta imagine we're gonna see a Tasigur here. With his fetch in hand as well.
Yes, that Tasigur gets to come down for
2.
2 mana.
Which is not a great amount because you can't activate him the turn he comes into play.
Yeah, that's
really what you want to be
that's
doing.
really the dream with Tasigur.
Yeah. So I don't know what's worse, playing out a Tasigur that you can't activate or playing out a Peasy that you can't activate this turn. I gotta imagine it's the Peasy.
I'm wondering if he just doesn't do either. So Andrew's short on cards in hand.
Andrew's got a ton of cards in hand. He's got like
I'm
6.
sorry. He had them all stacked up. I was confused. And I'm an idiot. He hasn't done anything. But I don't know how hard you want to play into the like Supreme Verdict?
Sure. So Bernie just bluffing with this 2 mana here.
It's not much of a bluff. Like, if he had interaction, I imagine he would have used it to get Ancestral Visions to resolve.
Right. Unless he drew it. But yeah, I agree.
If this might just be me once again being an idiot, but I will 100% of the time play into somebody that's like, if I'm playing, I'm not gonna play around the one card in your hand. Like if you drew it, you drew it.
Sure.
100% of the time I'll play into that.
Draws the Lingering Souls. That's gonna be huge in this matchup.
I'm wondering if, yeah, I mean it's gonna be huge unless Bernie can get Young Pyromancer to outpace it.
Well, he has 0 instants and sorceries in hand,
Man,
so
if both of the cards stay on top for the scry. Alright, here's the untap. Draw a step.
I believe is a Collect Brutality. Which is interesting. He only has the 1 black, which is a little bit awkward.
My move would be Collective Brutality, -2 the Snapcaster, discarding the land to escalate it to get the Duress style effect.
Yeah.
You get the token, you get to get in for 4 this turn.
Yeah, it seems pretty sweet.
That's a lot of pressure. You still have Tasker next turn. And if you draw land, you can even Tasker. Okay, he selected just the discard mode.
Leaves him a little less soft to.
Oh gosh! So he sees Surgical Extraction, Lingering Souls, Jace. Is that an Architect of Thought? Or is
That is
the
an
living
Architect of Thought.
Okay, Architect of Thought. Sorin.
Did you say Living Guild Pact?
I thought it might be the Living Guild Pact.
Oh man, that card was not a good representation of Jace.
Isn't that the one that neg ones their whole team?
Architect of Thought is.
Oh, okay. Architect costs 5 though, right? Or is that
4?
Okay, yeah, because I remember. Yeah, right. I get those two confused. I know one of them's insane and the other one is horrendous.
There's Living Guild Pact. Not a good look there, Jace. Not a good look.
No. Did it get reprinted in M15, or was that the?
No, it was only printed in M15.
Thankfully. All right, and here's the Architect of Thought was from Return to Ravnica.
It was from Return to Ravnica and got reprinted in a dual deck, which is the version that he's got.
Okay.
Yeah, neg 1 negos the entire team.
What's the one that creates triggers when things attack? Is that Architect of Thought?
Creates triggers when things attack.
It's like creatures attacking Jace get -1, -0, so it creates like a delayed trigger.
I don't know.
I'll have to go to the wall where all the planeswalkers are posted up here in the store and figure out. Okay, so Bernie has decided that we're going to. I think we're just gonna Tasker here.
Yeah.
Now that he knows what's up, he's selected
The coast is clear.
2 Lingering Souls. Oh, and Tasker is removing the whole graveyard.
He doesn't want any of that stuff back. Man, Andrew
Interesting.
drew the path right when Bernie thought the coast was clear.
That's so brutal.
So we get to path the Tassiger and then play out Jace and just take over this board.
Yeah, this is one of those times where like I almost feel bad that I drew the Path to Exile. Yeah,
I don't think Andrew feels bad.
I would, because I'm just like, well, I got super lucky. And that's just always, it never feels good to me.
And sometimes you get lucky and win. It's the variance.
I mean, you still have to play the cards correctly, even if you get lucky.
Sure.
However,
Man, what a top deck for Bernie.
that's fantastic.
Counter Squall, Remand. Holy smokes.
Those are some good draws too.
Yeah. We need to find a way to deal with this Jace, but all right.
All right.
Trading some Snapcasters.
Yeah. So as long as Jace goes up, creatures attacking it the tokens are going to have 0 power. All right. Here comes a counter squall, generating another token.
He knows that the Soren's in hand.
So
Is
you
the
just
awkward
let it
part
go?
of this. It's not great because you need that to be able to pressure this Jace, but I don't know that you're ever winning through a Soren.
You think you consider that your test spell if you're Andrew and just run your Soren out there?
Well,
Okay, so
if
now
that
he
wasn't,
can
then
use a
this
counter
is.
squall.
Oh, Remand is sick here.
Oh, sure, Remand's a great one.
I think he drew the Thoughtseize.
Oh man, so Thoughtseize is great because now he can deal with the Soren cleanly.
He desperately needs some kind of threat, something to pressure this Jace. And these two elementals are not going to cut it. Also, the draw of Thoughtseize means he can't cast both of his counter squalls next turn.
Well, I feel like if you draw you Thoughtseize him, you know what card you have to counter squall.
Yeah, and he only has 2 cards in hand.
Alright, here's this surgical extraction is pretty relevant. Yeah, Burton needs to find a Tasker or Gurmag Angler to start putting pressure on this Jace.
Absolutely.
The ultimate of Jace happens at 8.
Yeah, I don't think it's particularly backbreaking. You get like a card from Bernie and a card from yourself.
Yeah, for each player, search that player's library for a non-land card and exile it. That player shuffles their library. You may cast those cards without paying their mana cost. So you get to cast 2 cards.
Yeah, so it's not insane, but it's, good. I don't know if it's worth shutting off your entire engine here. I think the draw was a Ghost Quarter. Yeah.
Interesting. Alright. So the interesting part here is that this says you cast those cards. So Bernie can mana leak and or remand. Gosh, if he remands the card that comes out of his deck,
Yeah, that's insane.
that's a game right there.
So Andrew can get this Tassiger, which is going to just cascade out of control. And then for his own card, an Elspeth, which can just get countersqualled here. Bernie confirming, I'm assuming, that he can in fact countersquall this.
Sure. I believe that's going to be the play. Okay, in what order is a great question. Alright, so Bernie's confirming the Tasker's going to resolve first. Snapcaster Mage is gonna come down, and I assume
Counter Squall the Counter Squall?
probably, unless Bernie has a.
So we've got to Counter Squall the Counter Squall that's countering the Counter Squall now.
Counter Squall. Oh, alright. Bernie's trying to counter Elspeth. Okay. Oh man, this is a nice one.
This is going to deal 4 damage to Andrew.
Yeah, puts him at 4. Alright, yep. So Andrew's going to go to 4 here. Elspeth's going to go to the graveyard. I'm surprised Bernie didn't Mana Leak Tassiger so he can't be activated this turn. And Bernie would get like a whole turn cycle with Andrew having tapped mana.
Well, he knows the card in his hand.
Sure, it's just the surgical extraction.
So Bernie's draw there is a Colligan's Command.
Oh, that's really interesting. So
It's awkward because he can't cast it and get back a guy here because of this surgical extraction.
no. Oh, so if he waits for Andrew to activate Tassiger,
Right, but then he
And then-
can't cast the creature this turn.
that's fine.
It's not great.
It's fine. All right, so he waits for Andrew to activate Tassiger, cast Colligan's Command. Andrew goes to surgical the target.
Oh, this is a heads-up play. Well, he could
So what's
do this
Bernie
in
trying
response.
to do here?
I think he was trying to force him to get a shock and put into play tapped
Okay.
or untapped. Either way, it was great for him. But instead, he got a basic plains.
Yeah. Oh, I see. Because since it was a fetch land, Andrew's probably too savvy to go to 3 against this Lightning Bolt deck.
Right.
And in that case, he's definitely not going to 2 to cast this surgical extraction, right?
Right. And if Andrew fetches in response, he gets to... Bernie can Colligan's Command in response to the fetch to get a guy back. And then if he tries to surgical, he gets to Mana Leak it.
Tapping Andrew pays.
Right, but if... Because Andrew would only have 3 mana because the fetch would be on the stack.
Yeah, let it. You let this resolve. Okay, or whatever.
Regrow Snapcaster. Whoa, man.
Oh, and then can he snap bolt?
He exiled the bolt for the Tassiger, but he can snap Counter Squall.
Okay, that's a big deal.
That is the biggest deal. And then he also... Andrew can't attack profitably. And if he lets Bernie untap, then Bernie can just snap Colligan's Command.
Wow, see, this game is awesome. This game has been played really well. It's super interesting. Like
Let's see what Bernie lets him have back. I'd imagine it's the Elspeth, just whatever you want to tap here. He still has the Mana Leak in hand.
All right.
I guess Andrew does have this Shambling Vents that he could fire up. That's
Yeah, put him
interesting.
back up to 4. I wonder if he'll. So he can't really cast the Elspeth if he's gonna fire up the Shambling Vents. It creates an interesting line though. Bernie probably just takes it. Probably has to just take it.
Yeah, I mean, you can't afford to chump it. But if he fires up the Shambling Vents, then he has 4 mana. But he's at 4 life, so then he can pay the 2 again. Man, this is just really deep.
Yeah, like the way these two decks lock up is just really interesting. And it might straight up end in a draw here as we approach the 10-minute mark. If Bernie were to win this game, um, all right. So I think one of the tokens is gonna chump off the Tassiger. Has to.
So now Lightning Bolt is a live draw.
Right.
This is coming right down to the wire.
All right. So Andrew literally can't cast a spell because I mean
He could cast the Surgical
Snapcaster
Extraction.
Counter
Oh
Spell.
my goodness, that's a Electrolyze.
Yeah, Electrolyze does it. So you Electrolyze 1 and 1 to Andrew, 1 to Snapcaster, 1 to Andrew, and then you have Snapcaster's Counter Squall backup for his counter spell. He only has 2 cards in hand. You know one of them is Surgical Extraction that you don't want him to cast.
Well, if you go 1 in Snapcaster or 1 in Andrew, you get to attack for 2, so that's only 3 damage. So we're still 1 short.
That's still what I would do. I would still put him at 1.
I think you just swing in with both of these, and then if he blocks a Snapcaster, it's the exact same. But if he doesn't, you got him. Yeah, Andrew's much too savvy to just take the 2 here, right?
I don't know.
He's thinking about it. It's a tough decision.
It's very close.
Oh, he's firing up the
Oh,
Creeping
man.
Tar Pit.
This is some value. Now you get to Electrolyze the Creeping Tar Pit. Creeping Tar Pit's a 3/2, right?
Mm-hmm.
You could snap Colgan's Command the Creeping Tar Pit, getting back Young Peasy, playing Young Pyremaster. 3/5. Yes, you could do all that, and then Young Pyremaster blocks the Tassiger.
So
Here
this
we
is
go.
a bit awkward because you need blockers for everything next turn.
Okay, he's gonna get Andrew to 3. Because I think he's gonna.
Oh
Alright, and
goodness.
here's Snapcaster Counter Squall.
Nope, we actually phased it. Alright, so we get a draw card off of this. Oh, the Gurmag Angler was the draw.
What? This is fantastic. So you get Gurmag Angler here. 2 Gurmag Angler. Gotta find 4 to take out, right? 5.
It costs 7, so 5.
All right.
All right, so the draw here is Serum Visions.
Okay.
Serum Visions is a pretty good draw here. Nothing insane, but we can hopefully set up something.
Right. He can't attack. And the manlands are dead.
Well, he's got the Shambling Vent still. And another Tar Pit. That's another Tar Pit over there.
Alright.
If he fires up that Tar Pit and gets in there, that's a game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, he has to... I mean, you can't... I mean, do you just make him have it?
Yeah, you have to.
Man. What a great game.
Right down to the wire. That was a good one. Yeah, so in the end, it all came down to that first creeping tar pit.
Yeah, he had the double creeping tar pit draw at the beginning of the game.
Right.
He was playing behind by 2 turns, but it didn't matter in the end.